Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I had a video glitch earlier, so I had to reboot it. But here I am now, the man in the black mask. Now, as I was saying before the technical difficulties, there's been a rash of kids getting violent, you know? So I figured, why not bring this out now when I should have brought it out July 9th, which is when this article took place. But hey, this is the right time to tell it because of the recent events. Especially with December, a 10-year-old killing his mom over a VR. She wouldn't know that the VR, so the boy blows his mom's brains out. And then you got this 6-year-old boy who just popped his teacher for no reason. Now he's in a psych ward. And now you got this 16-year-old that got charged with attempted murder for the shooting of two police officers. They have not elaborated as to whether or not he actually shot those cops, but he was involved in the shooting. So that pretty much makes him responsible. Now, anyway, I'm just going to tell you about this article from July 9, 2022, which wasn't too long ago, okay? And this still hits the Barry hard. The Barry is a town in Florida where the murder of Gail Cleavenger took place. And the bastard that did it was Gregory Ramos, okay? I'm sure some of you are still reading that article from last year, but it's okay. You know, this is who I almost forgot. Brian Porras. Yes, he's the last of the trio to be sentenced in connection with Gail Cleavenger's murder, okay? He helped Gregory Ramos cover up the death, okay? And he is now receiving probation. And now this article states, friend sentenced for covering up friend's murder of mother. And I just told you, that friend was Gregory Ramos that did it. And the man that is being sentenced for it is the guy that helped cover it up, Brian Porras. The other one is Dylan Segler, or Keglar, whatever the fuck his name is. Anyway, let me read this, because I'm sure that the Barry community is still hurt by this. And some stories live forever. After Gregory Ramos, who was 15 at the time, strangled his mother to death in 2018 in DeBarry, he got two friends to help him try to cover up the killing by staging a burglary. On Friday, July 8, 2022, Circuit Judge Elizabeth Blackburn sentenced one of those friends, Brian Porras, to 14 years probation, ordering that Porras serve the first 364 days in the Volusia County Branch Jail. Half and half, huh? Shock probation. Yeah, Mr. Porras deserves it. And I know a lot of you couldn't disagree. I always agree whenever justice is served. But when will justice come for us when we become victims? Maybe one day. I hope so. Neither Porras nor the other friend, Dylan Seglerek, were present when Ramos killed his mother, Gail Cleavenger, 46, on November 2nd, 2018, in their home at 35 Alicante Road. And they were not present when Ramos disposed of her body. But of course, all that changed when Seglerek and Porras appeared on the scene to help that son of a bitch cover up the death, of course. The sentence was part of a plea agreement in which the now 21-year-old Porras pleaded no contest to a lesser charge of accessory after the fact to second-degree murder. The agreement capped his maximum possible sentence at 828 days, or just over 2 years in state prison. The judge also withheld adjudication, meaning that Porras will not have a felony conviction on his record. The judge said that she took into account that Porras was 17 at the time of the crime, a juvenile, certified youthful offender if he completes those 14 years of probation, which if he doesn't, 14 years in jail, and he'll be certified as an adult. This year will be year 1, 2023. So I sure hope that Mr. Porras is keeping his nose clean, of course. You're given an opportunity today. Even though you may think going to jail is not an opportunity, Blackburn said, you're not going to come out a convicted felon. You can make of your future what you choose to make it because you are being given an opportunity today to move forward, Blackburn said. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor, Porras replied. A bailiff then handcuffed Porras as the judge finished reading the sentence. Porras took one last look towards his family as he was escorted out of the courtroom at the St. James Foxman Justice Center in Daytona Beach. And that's in Florida. That's where the barrier is, too. That's where the Gail Cleavenger murder took place, of course. Yes, that's where it all began. This started November 2, 2008. What happens next? Once he is released, Porras must obtain a substance abuse evaluation and a mental health evaluation and follow all recommended treatments and abstain from alcohol or illegal drugs. The judge also ordered Porras to perform 100 hours of community service. Like Porras, Segorek, 21, pleaded no contest to a reduced charge of accessory after the fact to second-degree murder. Segorek was sentenced in February 2021 to 828 days time served in the Volusia County Branch Jail. He had been unable to make bail and had also been held due to concerns about his mental health, of course. Segorek is now back in jail after violating probation in October 2021 by fleeing from Ormond Beach police during a traffic stop and crashing into another vehicle, according to a charging affidavit. Oh man, Segorek. Now, Segorek, he's really relapsed, man. He just can't seem to get out of his past, of course. And I bet you they transfer him to state prison now. Those of you that know Segorek, if I'm mistaken, just leave a comment under the screen, and we'll talk about it, okay, if you're in the mood. Assistant State Attorney Andrew Urbanek had argued on Friday that Porras had committed the same offenses as Segorek and should get the same sentence, 828 days incarceration, although Porras would have had to serve that in state prison, of course. But Porras' defense attorney, Kendall Ali, said that Porras should not be punished for being able to make bail while Segorek could not. Ali asked that Porras be placed on 2 years of community control, followed by 13 years probation. Gail Cleavenger was killed over his son's grades. Now, this was November 2018, and it's still being talked about to this day. The killing was sparked by a commonplace issue among families. Ramos had argued with his mother over a grade he had received in one of his classes at University High School in Orange City. Ramos' reaction was uncommon. He strangled the life out of his mother. Son of a bitch. Porras was a Boy Scout and also an Orange City police explorer. Now, Ramos is an inmate who turned 19 in June at the Lake City Correctional Facility. And Ramos last year, or the year before, he got 46 years in prison for killing his mother. So he has to pay the same amount of years that he took from his mother. He has to spend those same exact years in lockup. Now, it won't bring Gail Cleavenger back, but it will ensure justice for all. Ramos reached a plea agreement in which he was adjudicated guilty of first-degree murder and other charges and sentenced in January 2021 to 45 years in state prison and a lifetime of probation. Now, I read somewhere that in 10 years into his probation, Ramos could apply to have it terminated, which is very unlikely, of course, given the circumstances. After killing his mother, Ramos drove her body to the River City Church in DeBarry. Then Ramos used belt straps around her legs to drag her body to a fire pit behind the church where he buried her body in a shallow grave, according to Volusia County Sheriff Sergeant Cameron Tucker, who testified during the hearing on Friday. Now, I am kind of happy that Ramos did not burn Cleavenger's body. I'm very blessed he didn't do that. I mean, come on. He already strangled the shit out of his own mother and killed her. Now, that is like the worst thing any kid can do, kill his or her parents or grandparents. No matter what brought that on, that is definitely no excuse. Now, Gypsy Rose Blanchard should have learned that from day one. Now back to Brian Porras. The next morning, when Porras picked up Ramos and Segorek from their homes to drive them to University High School, Ramos had injuries on his face, beneath his eyes, Tucker said, after Ramos's clothes were dirty from burying his mother. Yes. How did Gregory Ramos get those marks on his face? Well, you guessed it. Gail Cleavenger fought valiantly for her life as her son was choking her to death for no fucking reason. Ramos then enlisted Porras and Segorek to help him stage the home burglary, throwing open drawers, cabinets, and smashing items. The three of them damaged a door to make it look as if someone had broken into the house. Huh. That's not how you stage a crime. Come on. You gotta do better than that, man. Obviously, these kids got reckless. They thought they'd gotten away with the perfect crime. Well, it blew up in each and every one of their faces, especially Greg's, of course. Now, Greg Ramos, I'm sure a lot of you are pissed at him for whacking his own mother 5 years ago. And so am I. Even I never contemplated killing my mom or my dad, regardless of what they did or didn't do. They then drove back to where the mother had been buried to discard items from the house. They also covered up the drag marks where Ramos pulled his mother's body, Tucker testified. But Volusia County Sheriff's Office detectives soon grew suspicious of Ramos' story, and the three were arrested. How did they grow suspicious? Not only did Ramos, change his story, let alone tell a weird story about how he found a place broken into and ransacked and his mother gone, but they suspected that the marks that were on Mr. Ramos' face were from his mother putting up a valiant struggle for dear life. Of course, if somebody was choking you, regardless of whether or not they kill you, you're going to fight back. You're going to scratch, claw, maybe grab the nearest weapon you can find, and do your business. Try to save your life while you still can. Segorek led detectives to where the body had been buried. After that, Segorek was placed with Porras in the back seat of a Volusia Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle. The pair did not know their conversations were being recorded. Dun 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 dun. Urbanak played a portion in court. As investigators exhumed the mother's body from just a short distance away, the recorder captured Porras and Segorek sitting in the back seat, joking and singing, including 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and Alien Boy by Oliver Tree. These motherfuckers. Porras said on the recording he was going to be grounded once his father learned what happened. Well, speaking of grounded this time means he's going to spend nearly 20 years on papers. Possibly 20 in jail if he fucks that up. Now, that's a perfect form of a grounding. And as for Gregory Ramos, he's going to be grounded for the next 50 years for whacking his own mother and ruining his friend's life in the process by trying to get away with the perfect murder. That son of a bitch should have known better. He should have known he couldn't get away with murder. I mean, don't you watch, Law and Order? You know what I'm saying? Don't you watch CSI? Think. These feds know your every move. You might have think you've gotten away with the perfect crime, but guess what? They always got something that can bring you down. Now, this is what Porras had to say when he got locked up. I'm not going to get a birthday or Christmas or fucking anything. I'm going to be grounded for the next fucking 10 years, Porras said. Yeah, he knows he fucked up. Yeah, the worst form of grounding he got was getting locked up and then put on paper after he pled guilty. Now that's punishment right there. And now he has to comply with treatment and everything else. I'm sure that he has to abide by a curfew too. Because most people, if not all people that are on papers, whether it be probation or parole, you got to be home by a certain time. Just like you got to be out by a certain time. Sorry for this tragedy. Porras took the stand on Friday and told Cleavenger's family in the courtroom that he regretted what had occurred. I want to say that I'm very sorry for this tragedy that's happened to you guys, Porras said. I knew her from Scouts, and she was always there for everyone. He recounted how Cleavenger would give him a ride home at night because she was concerned for his safety. Porras testified he didn't believe Ramos when he said he had killed his mother. There's no way you could accept that it actually happened because how could somebody do that and continue going on? Porras said. If I knew he actually committed the crime, I would have right away called the police, Porras said. But Tucker testified earlier that Segorek had been more helpful to investigators, and Porras had been more difficult to get information from. Holy cow. Porras said he was under the impression that some things he took from Ramos' house, including a PlayStation, were not being used anymore. Porras said he graduated from high school and has been taking online and in-person courses at Daytona State College and plans to study psychology. He had also been working at an Ace Hardware. Good for Porras. I hope he's continuing to do the right thing, because every second his ass is on the line, and all it takes is one mistake to get him busted back to the joint. So he knows he better watch his back for the next 15 years and counting. Gail did not deserve what happened to her. Cleavenger's family members testified about their loss. No one tells you what you are supposed to say to your kids when they want to know why Aunt Gail is dead and what happened to her, said Sister Ivy Wick. No one tells you how to be a big sister to someone who is no longer there. Wick said Cleavenger was an artist and an architect who would often plan activities for kids. Gail did not deserve what happened to her, Wick said. She did not hurt Greg. She did not abuse him. She loved him. And she loved being his mom. She was incredibly proud of him. She kept every school program, every certificate, every award. Sorry. She took part in Taekwondo and Scouts with him, paid for his college fund and his braces and his cell phone, Wick said. She fretted over screen time and video games and grades, like every good parent I know, Wick said. And I am standing here today because Brian Porras doesn't care about that. He does not care about what kind of person Gail was. He doesn't care who misses her. He doesn't care about his friends, Greg and Dylan. I don't think it ever crossed his mind what trauma Gail's nieces and nephews have experienced. Of course not. So that wraps the chapter. Unless I hear anything more about the three, including Gregory Ramos or Dylan Segorek. I suppose he's in prison now because he violated his 12-year probation by fleeing cops and smashing into another car. And obviously, it just saddens me that he just couldn't keep his hand out of the cookie jar. Okay? It just saddens me in general how people can squander second chances and not take life very seriously. You know? They're obviously just dumb to that. They're too jackass to understand the world around them. Now, anyway, thank you for listening to the Man in the Black Mask. Sorry I disappeared on y'all, but I'm back. If I have any more stories, I'll try to get them out as soon as I can, but I'm sure I'm going to have a lot to talk about at some point. There's going to be a lot to talk about. Yes. So don't forget to like and subscribe and tell me what you think about this after you watch this video. And until then, good luck, be well, and have a good day to the fans of the Man in the Black Mask. Okay? He is always here, even when he's not here. Okay? So I'm going to keep y'all in my prayers. And y'all continue watching, liking, and commenting and subscribing to me. Good luck, be well, and have a nice day. Thank you, and thank you.